Hello everyone, and welcome back. Have you ever noticed how we're becoming less and less patient these days? A red light lasts only 60 seconds, yet we already feel it's too long. When we watch a movie, we double the speed just to finish it faster. People rush into marriage after knowing each other for less than a month, and 2 months later, they're rushing to divorce. Life keeps moving faster, and slowing down feels almost impossible. So today, let's talk about what impatient, anxious people often miss and what they unknowingly lose along the way. In real life, many of us get caught up in things that don't matter, or with people who don't deserve our time. There's a story about a man who placed his watch on the sink while washing his face in the morning. His wife, afraid it might get wet, moved it to the dining table. Their child, reaching for bread, accidentally knocked the watch off the table, breaking it. The man, furious, hit his child and scolded his wife. They argued violently until he stormed out of the house. In his anger, he forgot his briefcase and had to return home. But his wife had already left for work, and the child was at school. Without a key, he had no choice but to call his wife. She rushed home, but on the way, accidentally knocked over a fruit stall and had to pay compensation. When the man finally got to work, he was late and got scolded by his boss. His wife also arrived late and lost her attendance bonus. Their child, upset from the morning, performed poorly in a baseball match and got eliminated in the first round. This entire chain of events perfectly illustrates the famous Festinger's law. 10% of life is what happens to you, and 90% is how you react to it. The broken watch, that's the 10% you can't control. But everything that happened afterward, the chaos, anger, loss, that's the 90% you can control. If you let your emotions rule you, how can you ever take charge of your life? Two people once argued fiercely. One insisted that 3 times 8 is 24. The other claimed 3 times 8 is 21. They argued until their faces turned red and finally went to the local magistrate to settle it. The judge listened, then ordered the man who was correct to be beaten 20 times. The man shouted, "But I was right. Why punish me?" The judge calmly replied, "You wasted half a day arguing with someone who believes 3 times 8 equals 21. Don't you think you deserve punishment for that?" In life, many conflicts are like that, completely avoidable. The more you argue with unreasonable people, the worse it gets. So, would you rather keep arguing with the foolish, or simply smile and walk away, doing what truly matters? The choice has always been yours. One winter day, snow was falling heavily. A young boy stood outside eating an ice cream. A doctor passing by said, "It's freezing. You'll catch a cold eating ice cream in this weather." The boy replied, "My grandmother lived to 103. The doctor was surprised. "Because she ate ice cream?" The boy smiled. "No, because she never minded other people's business." Sometimes we feel older than we are, and maybe it's because we spend too much energy worrying about things that aren't ours to worry about. There was once a wealthy businessman who loved doing charity work. One day, he saw a beggar on the street and wanted to help him change his life. He asked, "If I give you 10 million, what will you do?" The beggar replied happily, "I'll buy a good smartphone so I can find crowded places to beg. That way I'll never run out of food." The businessman was disappointed, but asked again, "What if I give you 100 million? The beggar replied, "Then I'll buy a motorbike so I can beg anywhere I want, much easier." The businessman, slightly puzzled, asked, "What if I give you 1 billion? The beggar's eyes lit up. "I'd buy a piece of land in the busiest district so I'll never have to fight for a begging spot again." At that moment, the businessman gave up his idea of helping, because he realized poverty doesn't always come from lack of money. Sometimes it comes from the mind. 435. We often waste our energy on people or things that don't truly deserve it. You help others and somehow they still end up blaming you. Sometimes, your kindness not only goes unappreciated, but is even mocked behind your back. That's why we must learn to manage our own matters first, before trying to fix others. There was once an old man practicing calligraphy in a park. An elderly woman, curious, came over to watch. The man wrote the word "lan" on the ground. The woman frowned in disapproval. Then he wrote the word "tan," and the woman suddenly grew angry, kicking him so hard that he fell over. Both were taken to the police station. When the officer asked what had happened, the old man said, "I was just practicing calligraphy. I wanted to write the phrase, 'The Red River flows endlessly to the east.' But I had only written the first 2 words when she kicked me down." The lesson? Don't rush to conclusions, because the truth may not be what you think. In today's fast-paced world, everyone seems to be in a hurry. Rushing to work, rushing home, rushing through meals. But have you ever wondered, does this constant urgency actually bring us closer to where we want to be? As people hurry away, I can't help but ask myself, what's the real meaning of being in a rush? We cannot move faster than time itself. We cannot accelerate the flow of life. A human life, if we're lucky, lasts only about 100 years. So why live every day in such haste? Someone once said, in the old days, horses were slow, and letters took months to arrive. A lifetime was barely enough to love one person. Now, transportation is faster, communication is instant. Yet somehow, we're busier than ever. We wish time would be more forgiving. We wish life would slow down. There's a story from the US about an elderly couple who devoted everything to raising their son. But the boy refused to study seriously. One day, his father said, "If you can get into Harvard, I'll buy you a Ferrari." Motivated by that promise, the boy worked harder than ever and finally, he got accepted. Excited, he called home. "Dad, I got in. I can't wait for the car." His father said gently, "Come home, son. Everyone's waiting for you." When he arrived, the house was beautifully decorated. The dining table was set for a celebration. Impatiently, he asked, "Dad, where's my car?" His father handed him a book. "Son, this is the gift your mother and I have prepared for you all these years." It was a Bible. The boy grew angry. "Everyone has one of these. You lied to me all these years." He threw the book to the ground, shouted, and stormed out. He never came home again. More than a decade later, he happened to meet an old neighbor who told him, "Your father passed away. Your mother cried so much that she lost her sight." Heartbroken, the son finally returned home. Everything was exactly as he had left it. The dining table, the candles, and that same Bible still lying on the floor. His mother was sitting quietly behind the table, head bowed. He asked softly, "Mom, what happened?" Hearing his voice, she said, "Son, open that book." He picked it up, opened it, and discovered a hidden compartment inside. There was a car key. A key to a red Ferrari. He rushed to the backyard and found the car covered in dust. Tears streamed down his face. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" he cried. His mother whispered, "My son, only when you understand what it means to overlook a single glance will you know the value of looking one more time." This story shocks most people when they first hear it, because it teaches us something simple yet profound. Never judge from the surface. Learn to look deeper, see the essence behind appearances, and be flexible enough to change your old ways of thinking. Don't let your anger or impulsiveness destroy what truly matters. Someone once told me, "Slow living is a luxury." I believe that's true because no one is slow from the beginning. You have to go through haste, frustration, and mistakes before you truly learn to slow down. When you finally do live slowly in your own rhythm, it's as if your life itself becomes longer. Long ago, there was a plump woman who had just given birth. One day, she received a letter from her mother. When she opened it, she was terrified to read the words, "2 days ago, I fell seriously ill. My condition is dangerous." A woman had just given birth. One morning, she received a letter from her mother. When she opened it, she burst into tears. It said, "2 days ago, I fell gravely ill. My condition is very dangerous." Panicking, she gathered her things in a hurry, cradled her baby, and ran out the door without even locking it. As she rushed past a watermelon field, she stumbled and fell. The baby slipped from her arms. Terrified, she picked up the bundle she was holding and continued running toward her mother's home. When she arrived, she cried out, "Mother, are you all right?" Her mother looked calm and said, "I'm fine, my dear. Didn't you read the letter? I already told you." The daughter blinked, confused. She picked up the letter again and read carefully this time. It said, "I was seriously ill before, but now I'm fully recovered. Don't worry." The old woman smiled. "Now that you're here, let me see my grandchild." She gently unwrapped the cloth around the baby and gasped. Inside was a watermelon. The woman screamed, "Oh no, I must have left my child in the field." Both mother and daughter ran frantically back to the watermelon field, searching everywhere, but the baby was nowhere to be found. Instead, they saw a pillow lying among the vines. Panicking again, they ran home. And there, they found the baby. He had rolled off the bed, and was sleeping peacefully on the floor. You see, when your mind is too focused, you become blind to what's real. Anxiety spreads, and under its spell, every action you take may turn into a mistake. When you act in haste, even your kindness can cause harm. One day, God gave a man named Min a task: to take a walk with a snail. Min couldn't go too fast. But even at a slow pace, the snail still struggled to keep up. Frustrated, Min shouted at it, scolded it, and pulled it along. But the snail only looked up at him, with gentle eyes that seemed to say, "I'm doing my best." Min grew angrier. He tugged, kicked, and cursed. The snail's shell cracked. It bled, but kept crawling slowly, quietly. Sweating, breathing hard, Min muttered, "Why would God make me walk with a snail?" He looked up to the sky, but the heavens were silent. So he walked on, fuming. And then, something changed. He began to notice the fragrance of flowers. He felt the soft breeze brushing his face. He heard the birds singing, the hum of insects, and saw the stars twinkling above. He realized, maybe God had sent the snail not to test his patience, but to teach him how to slow down and rediscover the beauty he'd been too busy to see. Another story tells of a weary traveler standing by a wide river. An old woman nearby was anxious; she didn't know how to cross. Though exhausted himself, the traveler helped carry her across. When they reached the other side, the old woman walked away silently, without even a word of thanks. The man was disappointed. He felt foolish for helping someone so ungrateful. Hours later, as he rested under a tree, a young man approached him. He said, "Thank you for helping my grandmother cross the river. She asked me to bring this for you." The young man handed him food, water, and his own horse. Life always gives us answers, but not instantly. When you shout into a valley, you must wait a while before the echo returns. Rewards don't always come right after effort. But if you stay patient, good things will arrive often when you least expect them. Once upon a time, a fox met a centipede. The fox looked at the centipede curiously and said, "I have only 4 legs, and I still trip sometimes. You have 100 legs, how can you even walk properly?" The centipede had never thought about it before. But that night, the fox's question echoed in its mind. How do I walk with so many legs? Wouldn't it be faster to walk with just 4 like the fox? The next morning, when it tried to move, it couldn't. Its legs tangled up, confused by overthinking. The centipede, who once moved gracefully, could no longer walk. Each of us has our own rhythm, our own way of being. Some are foxes, some are centipedes. Around you, there will always be foxes, questioning, doubting, judging. But you must remember, you are a centipede, and you can only move forward by being yourself. Another time, the fox saw a lion and hurried over to greet him. But the lion, lost in thought, didn't notice. The fox grew uneasy. Why didn't he respond? Did I offend him somehow? He couldn't stop thinking about it. As he walked distractedly, he fell into a pit. Instead of figuring out how deep the hole was, or how to climb out, he sat there, replaying the moment in his head. He must be angry. Even if I escape, the lion will eat me. So he gave up trying. Days later, he starved to death in that hole. People say, the most miserable souls are those who overthink everything. Unhappiness isn't caused by circumstance. It's caused by the mind's endless noise. Happiness is simple. Don't think too much. First, calm your heart. Then, everything else will fall into place. Sometimes you can change your state of mind. Inside your head there may be countless foxes, restless thoughts that never stop asking questions. Their questions don't help you find answers. They only make things more confusing. We always assume there must be one final answer, so we keep searching, keep probing, trying to uncover that true solution. But often the outcome is not what we expected. Instead of endlessly interrogating a problem, you'll discover that the real answer lives inside you. You don't need to drown forever in one issue. In psychology, there's a famous experiment called the worry box. Volunteers were asked to write down their worries about the coming week on paper and put them into a box. A few weeks later, when they reviewed what they had written, they realized that over 98% of those worries were simply imagined. Next, they wrote down their current worries and placed them in the box again. After a few months, most of those concerns were no longer problems. This experiment suggests that 92% of the worries in life exist only in human imagination. The rest are easily resolved in reality. Many people go through similar emotions. A small failure can make someone believe their future is ruined. They drown in negative feelings. A little annoyance can be enough for them to conclude life is all disappointment, leaving them anxious and unsettled. But over time, they realize those catastrophes never actually occurred. Everything was self-inflicted imagination. Learn to relax more. Don't let baseless thoughts wreck your mood. What needs to come will come. Worrying won't solve the problem. Face failure with calmness. Pull yourself out of negative imaginings. When you conquer your own mind and stop overthinking, many worries will gradually disappear. This mindset can help you become more optimistic and proactive when confronting negative emotions, whether present or future. A researcher once ran an emotion experiment with two young lambs in different environments. One lamb was set free on a pasture and happily ran around every day. The other was tied near a post, beside it a chained wolf that couldn't harm it. Over time, the free lamb thrived and grew healthy. The lamb tied near the wolf died not because the wolf ate it, but because daily it faced fear and anxiety, could not eat, and withered from stress. In reality, human lifespan and emotions are closely connected. Negative emotions are quietly destroying your life. When you conflict with someone, you feel hurt and keep ruminating. You assume the other person meant to harm you and endlessly replay their mistakes in your head. Each replay robs you of sleep. You sink into gloom, unable to enjoy life's pleasures. Gradually, even on days when you do nothing, you feel exhausted. This fatigue is called emotional depletion. You must pay attention to this and apply the strategies at the end of this episode to handle depletion and anxiety. There's a story of a hot-tempered boy. His father gave him a bag of nails and said, "Each time you get angry or fight with someone, drive a nail into the garden fence." On the first day, the boy hammered in 37 nails. But he then started learning to control his anger. The number of nails he drove each day slowly decreased. He realized that controlling his temper was much easier than hammering nails. Finally, one day, he didn't hammer any nails at all. Excited, he told his father. His father said, "From now on, if you go a day without losing your temper, you may pull out one nail." Day by day, the nails were pulled out until all were gone. Then the father led him to the fence and said, "You did well. But look at the holes in the fence. Those holes will never be the same." Just like when you hurt someone with harsh words and then retract them, the wound remains. If you stab someone with a knife and then pull it out, the wound stays even if you apologize. Words can leave lasting scars. You can change your state of mind. Sometimes your head is full of foxes, always asking doubts that don't lead to clarity but only bring chaos. Instead of endlessly querying, realize the true answer is within you. The long search for a single definitive answer often traps you. Instead, cultivate calm and listen inward. Back to psychology. The worry box taught us that most anxieties are imagined. Don't let baseless thoughts ruin your emotions. Accept that what must come will come. Worry doesn't speed it up. When failure comes, meet it with composure and pull yourself out of negative fantasy. Once you stop idle rumination, many worries will fade away and optimism can grow. When you're stressed and preoccupied, mistakes multiply. The story of the woman who rushed to her mother's bedside shows that anxiety leads to faulty action, mistaking a watermelon for a baby, misplacing priorities, running in panic. When you act hastily, your good intentions can lead to poor outcomes. There's also the tale of Min and the snail. At first he resents the snail's slow pace, even harming it in frustration. But as he slows down, he notices flowers' scents, birdsong, the breeze, the stars' beauty he'd missed. Perhaps the snail was a gift to make him slow down and appreciate life. A traveler once helped an elderly woman cross a river. She left without thanks. He felt his kindness wasted, until hours later a young man delivered food and a horse from the woman's grandson. Life's returns don't always happen immediately. Patience matters. Wait for the echo. The fox and centipede story warns against letting others' opinions derail you. When the fox questioned the centipede's many legs, the centipede overthought and lost its natural rhythm. We each have our own instincts and way of living. There will be fox's critics around you, but remember who you are. Move in your own way. And don't fall into the pit of endless rumination, like the fox who focused on the lion's silence and gave up trying to escape. He starved while thinking about perceived slights. The most unhappy people are often those who overthink. Unhappiness usually stems from thought, not circumstance. Happiness is simple, don't overthink. First, change your mood, then the rest will follow. Practical steps: calm your heart, reduce baseless rumination, and manage emotional depletion. When you feel anger rising, ask whether it's worth hammering another nail into the fence of someone else's heart. When anxious, remember the experiment. Most fears are imagined and will dissolve with time. When tempted to compare yourself to others, remember the centipede's lesson. Your method suits you. When you help others and receive no thanks, trust that life may repay you later in unexpected ways. Slow down, breathe, quiet the foxes in your head, and listen to the answers inside your heart. When you do, wounds heal more softly, joy returns more steadily, and life becomes lighter. No matter how deep a wound is, it can never fully heal, whether it's on your body or in your heart. Physical wounds and emotional wounds share one thing in common. Both are difficult to mend. One day, a hungry snake slithered into a carpenter's shop looking for food. As it moved across the floor, it brushed against a saw and got a small cut. Angry, the snake turned back and bit the saw. But the saw was hard steel, it didn't get hurt. Instead, the snake's mouth was torn and bleeding. Even more furious now, it coiled tightly around the saw, squeezing it with all its strength. By the next morning, the snake had died not because of the saw, but because of its own uncontrolled anger. Until the moment it died, it never realized. The real harm didn't come from the saw, but from its own emotions. The more capable a person is, the less easily they get angry. And the more easily someone loses their temper, the less capable they usually are. Expressing anger is instinct, but controlling it is strength. A person who cannot manage their emotions will end up hurting both themselves and others. Napoleon once said, "He who can conquer his own emotions is greater than the general who can conquer a city." Learning to control your emotions is how you truly take command of your own destiny. Now, let's explore 3 psychology-backed methods that can help you reduce anxiety and regain calm. Method 1. Look up. Whenever you suddenly remember something painful or find your mind disturbed by overwhelming emotions, the simplest and most effective action is look up. When you raise your head and gaze upward, your brain temporarily loses its ability to process deep emotional information. It breaks the emotional cycle and helps you regain control of your mind. Method 2. The rubber band technique. Tie a small elastic band around your wrist. When you can't stop negative or chaotic thoughts, pull the band and let it snap back against your skin. At first, it might sting a little, but that's the point. After doing it a few times, your body will begin to associate overthinking with discomfort. Eventually, when you start to spiral into negative thoughts, your mind will instinctively stop to avoid that unpleasant feeling. In psychology, this method is called aversion therapy. Method 3. Sit still and meditate. Everyone needs a method to calm their inner world. Here's a simple way to begin. Sit comfortably on a chair. Place both feet firmly on the ground. Feel your body balanced and complete. Now, focus on your breathing. If your thoughts drift, don't worry. Gently bring your attention back to your breath. Just feel the rhythm of breathing in and out and the presence of your body. According to many scientific studies, if you meditate for 10 to 20 minutes a day over the course of 8 weeks, your brain begins to form new positive connections that last long term. These changes can improve your memory, reduce anxiety, lessen anger, and help you manage negative emotions. Some research even shows that meditation can slow down the process of aging. My friend, emotions can either destroy or transform you. Anger, when left uncontrolled, consumes your energy and shortens your life, just like the snake who mistook its own rage for strength. But calmness gives you clarity, resilience, and peace. So today, take a deep breath. Look up when the past comes haunting. Snap that rubber band when your mind starts spinning. And sit quietly with your breath. Let your thoughts settle like dust in sunlight. I hope you soon overcome anxiety, quiet your inner storm, and live a peaceful, beautiful life, one where your emotions serve you, not rule you.